The air on the frontier colony of Epsilon V-19 was thick with ionized particles, giving everything a faint blue glow, and the wind carried a low hum as if the planet itself were alive. I had been sent here as part of a small reconnaissance team, just me and a handful of engineers, to establish a preliminary research outpost. Nothing in my training had prepared me for what I found. Her name, or at least what she allowed me to call her, was Kael. When I first saw her, she was standing atop a ridge overlooking the settlement, her silhouette framed against the twin suns. She didn't approach. She didn't speak. Yet I could feel her gaze as acutely as if she were pressing her hand to my chest. I remember thinking almost idly that she was impossibly beautiful. Her skin shimmered in iridescent patterns, shifting from violet to silver, like a living aurora. Her eyes were an ocean of molten green, and when they landed on me, I felt a chill creep up my spine. There was danger in her presence, unmistakable, a predator's aura. And yet, for reasons I couldn't comprehend, I didn't feel the instinct to run. The colony had been warned. Kael belonged to a species classified as lethivores, predators whose touch was lethal to any human. Reports from other exploratory teams described entire squads vaporized within moments of contact. No armor could withstand her touch. No weapon could stop her. To encounter her was to face certain death. And yet, she had not touched me. The first encounter happened just after I had set up the basic life support modules. I was alone, calibrating the atmospheric filter, when I sensed her behind me. I didn't turn. I didn't need to. The air itself seemed to tighten around me, like a coiled spring. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling despite myself. She tilted her head, a movement both feline and fluid. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, in a voice that was more felt than heard, she whispered, "I don't know why you're here." I swallowed hard. Her words weren't threatening. They weren't welcoming either. They simply existed, an acknowledgement of my presence. I spent the next few days observing her from a distance, careful to avoid any direct contact. She moved with grace, almost floating over the rocky terrain, her steps leaving no trace. Every team member who had reported sightings of lethivores mentioned the same behavior. Unpredictable, mercurial, and instantly fatal on contact. And yet, every time she appeared near me, nothing happened. By the fourth day, curiosity overcame caution. I approached her, slowly, hands raised to show no threat. "Why haven't you?" I began, hesitating. "Hurt me?" Her green eyes studied me, narrowing slightly. She reached out, as if to touch my arm, then stopped midway. I held my breath, expecting instant death. Instead, she recoiled as though repelled by an invisible force, then sat down on a boulder, regarding me with a mixture of frustration and fascination. "I can't," she said finally, her voice breaking like fragile glass. I shouldn't." I blinked. "Shouldn't?" "Kael, you could." "I could kill you," she interrupted sharply, her voice gaining strength. "But I don't know why." That was the first time she allowed herself to show uncertainty. I realized then that lethivores weren't mere beasts. They were intelligent, capable of emotion, and perhaps even choice. Over the next weeks, we formed an uneasy routine. I worked on the colony systems. She watched. Occasionally, she would approach to observe my work, lingering dangerously close. I could feel the energy in the air around her, the lethal potential, and yet somehow, it never struck. One night, as Epsilon V-19's twin moons cast long shadows across the rocky terrain, she spoke again. "You are strange," she said. "None survive. None ever." I nodded, unsure what to say. "I don't know why I'm still alive, either." Her gaze softened, almost imperceptibly. Perhaps fate.
Fate.
I laughed softly, the sound echoing through the empty outpost. Maybe. Then came the first real test. A seismic tremor struck the colony, sending debris flying. I was caught in the control hub as a panel collapsed toward me. Instinctively, Kael appeared, darting through the chaos. She placed a hand on the falling panel, stopping it inches from my head. The air sizzled with energy. The lethal aura of her touch was undeniable. I froze, expecting the end. Nothing happened. Not a scratch, not a burn, nothing. Her eyes met mine, wide with disbelief. I couldn't. You saved me, I whispered, my heart hammering. I don't understand, she said, stepping back as if the very act of touching me had drained her. I should have, but I didn't.
It became a pattern.
She would approach when danger was near, restrain the lethal force within her, then retreat, exhausted and confused. And slowly, I realized the truth. Her touch wasn't just dangerous. It was an extension of her will. And her will, inexplicably, chose not to harm me. Weeks passed. The colony stabilized, and our bond deepened. Communication became easier as I began understanding her subtle signals, the faint shifts in the colors of her skin, the gentle hum that preceded speech. She began to reveal fragments of her past, a race of hunters bound by instinct and survival, trained from birth to kill. She was different, she admitted. She had never understood why she felt this hesitation, this curiosity about the human she could not kill. Then one evening, everything changed. A scout ship from the Central Command arrived, bringing reinforcements and orders to contain the lethivore threat. They were armed with specialized energy weapons and containment gear. My heart sank as they deployed sensors that lit the outpost in harsh red beams, scanning for life forms. Kael froze, eyes flicking nervously between me and the intruders. They will kill me, she whispered. I won't let them, I said firmly. I turned to face the command team, raising my hands.
Wait.
She's not attacking anyone. She saved me. They laughed, dismissive. Human, do you understand the species you're dealing with? One touch and you're dead. All of you are dead if she so chooses. Kael's body shimmered with tension. Every instinct screamed to fight, to flee, to kill. Yet she didn't. She hovered near me, eyes locked onto mine, drawing strength from some invisible tether. I took a deep breath, stepping toward the team. She's different. She can control it. She's choosing not to harm me. The commander scoffed. Impossible. All lethivores are deadly. Kael's hand lifted suddenly, energy crackling around her fingertips. Everyone stepped back, weapons ready. I tensed, expecting the inevitable blast of death. But instead of attacking, she released a controlled pulse of energy into the ground, creating a barrier that shielded us without harming anyone. It was precise, deliberate, and terrifying. The commander stared in disbelief. What, how? Kael looked at me, and for the first time, I saw vulnerability. I don't know. I never wanted to hurt him, she said simply. It was the first time she had spoken of me by name. My chest tightened. Negotiations began, tense and delicate. The command team wanted to capture her, to study her, to weaponize her. I argued, pleaded, and explained what I had witnessed. Finally, after hours of debate, they agreed to leave her unrestrained, under my supervision, pending further study. Kael watched the humans leave, exhaustion and relief washing over her iridescent skin. That night, we sat together on the ridge where I first saw her. The twin moons reflected off her skin, casting shifting patterns across the rocks. You could have left, she said softly. You could have abandoned me when they arrived. I couldn't, I replied. I don't know why. Maybe fate, like you said. She tilted her head, green eyes gleaming.
Fate or choice.
Perhaps for the first time, I understand that I am more than my instincts, that I am capable of deciding. I reached out slowly, careful not to provoke the lethal aura that lingered around her. She didn't flinch. Our hands met, and for a moment, the world held its breath. You trust me, she whispered. I trust you, I said. Her touch, once a herald of death, felt almost warm now. The lethal edge that had defined her existence softened, guided by her choice, by her will. And in that moment, I realized something profound. The deadliest beings were not always those who sought to kill, but those who could choose not to. From that day forward, Kael remained by my side. Together, we built the colony, explored the planet, and faced threats that no human could survive alone. And though her touch could still end a life in an instant, she never harmed me. Somehow, inexplicably, impossibly, she couldn't. The scientists later called it an anomaly, a genetic fluke. They studied her, tested her, and tried to understand why one lethivore defied nature itself. We never needed their answers. I knew why. She had chosen me, and in that choice, she had found a fragment of herself she had never known existed. I often think about that first moment on the ridge, when I saw her silhouetted against the suns, lethal and beautiful. I almost turned away, almost ran, but something held me. Perhaps it was curiosity, perhaps it was fate, or perhaps it was the silent understanding that life, even on a distant world, could defy expectation. Her touch had once meant death, and yet, for me, it meant survival, and eventually something more. I don't know how long we'll remain on Epsilon V 19 or what future encounters with our kind may bring. But I do know this: some connections transcend instinct, species, and danger. Some bonds are forged not by circumstance, but by choice. And Kael, the creature whose touch could end life, chose instead to preserve mine. And for reasons even she cannot explain, she could not hurt me,